Hello everybody, I hope you can see me all right. It's a beautiful day. So before it gets too good, I thought I'd do this Monday selection for you. So here we are again, it's 5 records on this beautiful Monday, the 21st of March that I'm going to be playing later on this evening. So bit of a mismatch again. Some good ones here, actually. Okay, so I'm not going to muck about. I'm just going to get straight into it. Right. Okay. The first one is Kraftwerk Die Menschmaschine, or in English, the Man Machine. So this is the cracking remaster of it. So it's a slightly different sleeve. But you've got this fantastic book inside. Let me just show you. I think that was, yes it was, that was the original cover, which they put into the inner sleeve now. There they are, the robots. Let me just show you this book. It's great. So you've got this lovely book inside. With some great photographs. I must show you these. I don't really want to spend too much on it, but there they all are. There we go. Lovely, isn't it? There they are, coming out of the back of the Kling Klang studio. Very fortunate I was there last year. That's a great one. Love that one as well. That's Florian. There's Wolfgang. And there they all are again. That's another great photograph. Superb. Really like this. And then you've got Ralph and Florian as the last one. I think most people of a certain age will know this album. It's fantastic all the way through, but as I've done with the other two videos that I've done, I'll give you two recommendations that I think you ought to go for. Neon Light, or Neon Lit, is the first one. Fabulous, fabulous track. Really great one, that. A lot of people would go for The Robots, but I'm going to go with Space Lab. That's really, really a great track. So my two recommendations then from this 1978 album, fabulous thing. Neon Lights and Space Lab. So Kraftwerk then, Die Menschmaschine, or the Man Machine. Number two, a sort of link, really, because a lot of people seem to think that this album is linked to that, or certainly influenced by that album, and probably it is. And this is the fabulous Radiohead OK Computer. Again, what we've got here is a reissue that came out in 2017, and it's called OK No Talk, or No Computer. Basically what they've done is stretched it out to 3 albums, and the original album is a masterpiece. I think we all know, again, those people that know Radiohead. This is a great package. I couldn't resist this when it came out. So there's one of the inner sort of covers, and that's the other one. So beautiful thing, triple album. For those people that don't know this one, this is their 3rd album. This came out in 1997, and it took a little bit of a while for it to catch on. And but when it did catch on, my God, it was a huge album. Again, it's in that book, I've mentioned it before, with 1001 albums you must hear before you die. Well, this is definitely one of them, guys. If you don't have it in your collection, you need it. You do really need this in your collection. So the reason I've chosen this, and again the previous one, is that they're very much linked together. Kraftwerk were way ahead of the time when it came to electronic music and mixing that with hip hop and funk, and using their own instruments, building their own instruments, and no one sounded like them at the time. Well, this is another album like that. No one was doing this. And a lot of the electronic sort of sampling and Johnny Greenwood was definitely influenced by the Man Machine, and you can hear it on it. It's indie rock, I suppose you could say, but again, it's one of these albums that's very difficult to categorize. So it's indie rock, it's certainly experimental, it's melodic, and it was extremely successful, So from the 3 albums then, what they've stretched it out is some of these extra tracks, some of the tracks that they've added, which had never been released before. Some of them are really as good as what's on the original album. But I'm going to pick 2 for you, as I always do. Paranoid Android is the first track, I think, that in a lot of ways that represents the whole thing quite well, really. And the other one I'm going to pick for you, No Surprises, which was a single. It wasn't as successful as other tracks that they released on the album, but I really love that track. That's a great track. So I think Paranoid Android and No Surprises represents this whole thing quite well. Don't get me wrong, the rest of the album is just glorious. And if anybody out there has not heard this, then you need to check it out. I think it's one of these albums that initially, when you first hear it, you think, what the hell's that? And it takes a bit of time. It takes time and effort to really appreciate what this fantastic band are actually doing with this album. It's not my personal favourite, but this was the one that put them onto the big world stage. And it's one of these unusual phenomenons that such an experimental avant-garde piece of music would be as popular as it is, but it is. But I've got to pick 2, so I'm picking 2 for you: Paranoid Android and No Surprises. So if you've never heard any Radiohead before, give those 2 a go. Just go on this fantastic site, YouTube, and pick them up. And then perhaps that might want you to go and investigate this truly glorious masterpiece. If you don't believe what I'm telling you, then just Google it, and it will tell you exactly what a phenomenal album this is. It's a great album. So my number 2 then is Radiohead, OK Computer. Number 3, we're winging back to the 70s now. This album, initially I bought not long after it came out, and it really didn't do anything for me when I first bought it, and I ended up giving it away. and I really didn't take notice of this band at all because of the reaction maybe that I had to first hearing this one that I'm going to show you. But I was only 16 when I bought this, so the year after it was released. And I was listening to so much more music, you know, so other things were more in my sort of young 16-year-old noggin that I thought was better to listen to, you know. So I pushed it to one side, and it was a friend of mine that had got the album in again, and he said, well, look, I'm going to send this back. Do you want it? I said, well, I bought this, you know, 30, 40 years ago, you know, and I wasn't impressed. He said, well, I'm going to say, he said, no, he said, here, have it. So I was actually given the album by a friend of mine in the record shop that I normally go to. And I thought, right, okay, I got it home and I put it on again. And when I first bought it, it would have been in 1974. So a long time ago. And then I played it again all those years later. It was only a couple of years ago that I got this. And I was blown away with it. And it's Steve Miller Band, the Joker album. This is the one with the original version of Joker on it. So all the different versions that have been released over the years, you know, this is the original. And it's much more than just that one song. There he is in all these different masks, Steve Miller. What a great guitar player this man is. This is a fabulous, fabulous album. Everybody knows the Joker, you know, and obviously the very, there's lots of different versions, but the original, in my opinion, is the best. So this album is Southern Rock album with some great guitar playing by Steve Miller. He had a great band at the time. Is it Tell Me who's in the band? Yeah. The bass player, Gerald Johnson, brilliant. The drummer was a guy called John King. Obviously, you had Steve Miller on guitars and harmonica, and then organ and clavinet was Dickie Thompson. And that's it, really. It's just 9 tracks, not a particularly long album. It's only about 37, 38 minutes, but it's the quality of the songs on it here is fantastic. So the ones I would recommend for you then. So we're talking Southern rock. And that's what it is. There's no other way to describe this. Great vocals, great arrangements, great production, sounds great, you know. So let's forget the Joker. I think everybody knows that one. So the two that I would recommend for you, one from each side. Your Cash Ain't Nothing But Trash. It's the last track on the first side. It's a great one. And the other one that I would recommend is Come On In My Kitchen. Now that's a traditional old blues tune that Steve does. But he does a great version of it, and I think it's live actually on here. That every track is a winner, believe me, every track is a winner, but those two are particularly good. Again, I try and give you a tip to represent what this album is. Once I bought this, it really did introduce me to going out and buying a lot of Steve Miller albums after hearing this, after all those years. And he's made some fabulous stuff, but I thought I'd show you this one. So this is a great album. This is Steve Miller, the Joker, and originally it was released in 1973. So this particular version came out in 2013, so it was a sort of anniversary version of it, and it's a really great sounding album. So there we are. There's now number 3 then. Steve Miller Band, The Joker. winging our way now to the 90s, and in many ways, this is, you know, probably one of the greatest albums of that particular decade. There are more, don't get me wrong, but this again, it's one of these albums that's a bit like Steve Miller. They're only known for one track, the title track, and this is another one. This is an album that that those people that really don't know the group that well always associate them with this one song. So the guys I'm talking about are The Verve, and this is Urban Hymns. This was released in 1997, and it's just a glorious album. We are talking indie rock, rock and roll, certainly some sort of ambient-y type chill pieces as well. There are lots of instrumental pieces to the songs, but the songs are all great. They are all. No, this album is only known for one song, and that's "Bittersweet Symphony." I don't know if you can see that there. It's very small, which is a magnificent song. There's no way getting around that. You know, there's some more pictures of the guys. You know, with their dog. There he is. It's a great picture. That one. I like that. And then you've got some more sort of Polaroids of them, and then there they are, looking all a little bit too serious to my liking, anyway. But what they've done here is this is an original, actually. You can get it on CD, it's just one CD. It's a very long CD, though, and they've stretched it out, and this is a double album, and it's on lovely green vinyl. Can you see that in the sun? A little bit dark. Okay, a little bit better. It's a lime green type effect. There was lots of singles from this album, and they were all successful, you know. And this band were a very splintered affair, really, and it was mainly to do with these two people here. That's the singer and the guitar player. They couldn't get on. And this is their third album, by the way. It was going to be a solo album by the singer. But whoever it was persuaded the guitar player to come back in again and finish off some of the pieces that they'd already started. And that's when they said, right, okay, then it's a Verve album. So that's what it ended up being. And then they split again after this. And they didn't release an album, oh, goodness, for a good 10 or 15 years or something. Another one. But that's a good 10 years ago as well. And they don't exist again. So very, very that splintered is the only way probably to describe this band, which is a sad shame, because when they play, everybody wants to see them. You know, they do sell out massive places. Traditional rock, indie rock, then, of the highest order. You know, a lot of people tend to link them to the sort of Oasis sounding thing. Far better than them. Far better than Oasis. This is a wonderful, wonderful album. So, to pick two songs, you know, I'd have to go with the Bittersweet Symphony, because it's such a great, great song, that one. And the other one I would go for, difficult. It is difficult. I think I'd go with Catching the Butterfly, which is a very rocky, quite a long piece, that one. So it's very much in the mode that they go into, if you know the 60s psychedelic type feel to the music as well, which is great, you know. But when they rock out, they rock out. You know, they've got some great heavy pieces, but at the same time, Richard Ashcroft, the singer, this chap, he knows a great melody, so he can write a great melody, you know. And his solo albums, actually, he's done quite a few solo albums, and they are great as well. So, you know, I'm going to go with the obvious one. If you've never heard the Verve before, Bittersweet Symphony, just put that on, and that immediately gets you going. It's such a vibe. It's such a great song. Great words. The orchestra arrangements are just absolutely fabulous on that. And it's a sing-along. It is a sing-along. And sometimes you need music like that to uplift you a little bit. And Catching the Butterfly is sort of a psychedelic, rocky type number from this. Not to take away from the rest of the songs on this album, there's not one weak song on this double album. Really great stuff. Okay then, so that's my number 4, and that is the Verve, Urban Ends. Looking forward to playing this again. My last one for today is a prog rock or progressive rock masterpiece classic. You know, I have done some videos in the past about progressive rock, and anybody that's there's literally thousands on YouTube of people coming up with their favourite progressive rock albums. Well, if this is not amongst them, then the list is not very good. So I'm going to close the evening tonight playing this absolute classic, and this is Close to the Edge by the wonderful Yes. When They Were Yes. This is 1972, and just look at that cover. That's cover is a painting by the magical chap called Roger Dean. And when you look at this scenery here, and you put on the title track, because it is just one side, that just represents the music beautifully. It is just fantastic. So you've got the boys in the band there. So you've got, I don't want to spend too much, but it's John Anderson, Bill Bruford, who left after this. He said, we're never going to make another album like that. Rick Wakeman, the magical Chris Squire, no longer with us, unfortunately. Steve Howe, and then that chap there is Eddie Offord, who produced the album. There's the inner sleeve with all the lyrics on, and effectively it's just 3 tracks. So you've got Close to the Edge, which is the whole of the first side of the album, and then you turn the album over and you've got just 2 tracks, and You and I and Siberian Catcher. So my 2 tracks, there's only 3 to choose from, is the whole of the first side, which is Close to the Edge, 18 minutes 12 seconds, so 1812 overture. That's what they were going for. This piece of music just takes you on a journey, a little bit like the Ninth Wave that I showed yesterday from Kate Bush. This does exactly the same, but we are talking 1972 here. This is progressive rock music. So might not be for everybody. So if I've got a younger audience watching, then perhaps this, I would say, this track, Close to the Edge, represents what progressive rock music's all about. It's all about being progressive, so taking elements of other types of music and incorporating it into your own structure and song. and that's what that does. And at the same time, taking you on a real great journey. The other track I'm going to choose for you, because I've got to pick two, is the first track on the second side, which is that one there, and You and I. I've asked this question a few times to friends of mine. The actual track, again, you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful track, very acoustic based, but I've never heard a track that starts with the guitar playing his guitar, but that does, and it sounds great. It really, really does. And again, it's a 10-minute track, so it's quite a long track, and it just takes you on this beautiful journey. So you've got some very pastoral bits to it, so very acoustic and chill, and then it builds to these massive crescendos, board, bass and guitar, and then comes right down with some beautiful vocals by this chap, John Anderson. Please don't ask me what he's singing about. I don't think he knows himself. But when you get used to his voice, and you get used to the music and the way that his voice, which is very angelic, his voice, beautiful soprano voice he's got, it just takes you in, it draws you in, and you end up singing along with it, although you haven't got a clue what you're singing about. So there we go. So that's my last one for today then. The marvellous, yes, Close to the Edge. And there we are. The best album? Yeah. It is. It's their best. From 1972. So there we are. I hope you I hope the snook over there, my dog, has not been disturbing you too much. When he moves about, he makes some noises, you know. So I think that's what he's been doing throughout this video. Okay, I hope it's been a nice, clear picture for you, because I know that a few people have said, well, the picture's not that good. I have to tell you before I go very quickly, the internet is not brilliant here. I do live in the middle of absolutely nowhere, really, so the internet connection is not that clever. So I apologise if that's the case. Okay, right, there we are. That's my 5 for Monday then. Please, if you like it, would you please subscribe? That would be very, very much appreciated. Please, if you've got any comments, slap them underneath, please, and let me know what you think. Negative or positive, I don't care. You know, a comment's a comment, and it's again, it would be very much appreciated. And finally, if you'd like me to select some albums that perhaps you've heard about and you've not seen before, and I've got them in my collection, because I have got quite a big collection here, then by all means put them in. And if I've got the album that you're talking about, or if it's a CD, I'm prepared to do CDs as well, then please let me know. I will be more than welcome to try and spurt off some information. Snoop. So I better go. Cheers, guys. Bye.